Hello, and welcome to The Week in Nintendo Land, the podcast where we discuss all the latest Nintendo news and everything on our minds. I'm Alex Boultwood, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Golden Joystick Awards and the big Nintendo winner of the night, Animal Crossing New Horizons, the great Nintendo deals coming out of Black Friday and beyond, plus the new games coming out this week, and much, much more. Anna and Nathan are here with me as always.
Hello.
Hey.
But we have a new guest joining us today, Jesse Vitelli from Prima Games.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me.
It's really nice to have you. Thanks for coming.
So Jesse, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it you do?
So I write all sorts of articles at Prima Games, news, reviews, features, with a wonderful team over there. You can also find me, on the Twitterverse, and I make weird jokes and talk about video games there. Otherwise, we're just having a good time being able to guest on wonderful podcasts like this.
Oh, yeah, you're too kind.
It's an informative timeline. So what's your handle, by the way, so people know?
Oh, it's just at Jesse Vitelli. It's just my name. Nothing clever or exciting.
Nice and simple. I like it. Okay, so we're talking about video games, specifically on this podcast, Nintendo Switch games. So we've got a lot to discuss this week. But before we play Armchair Analyst, let's take a look at what's happened in the last week.
The Golden Joystick winners were announced last week, with Animal Crossing New Horizons beating out the likes of Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Pokemon Sword and Shield to take home the prize for Best Nintendo Game of the Year. Blathers is set to be already preparing a spot for the trophy in his museum. After only a week, Age of Calamity is already the best-selling game in the Warriors series, having sold over 3 million copies worldwide. Even though Koei Tecmo has said a sequel isn't in the works right now, surely those sales numbers are enough to convince them to take Link to the Past once again. And it's that most wonderful time of the year when games get some serious discounts and you can ignore your entire family by playing them throughout December. Nintendo are slashing prices on some of their biggest titles, including Link's Awakening and Fire Emblem Three Houses. But you'll have to be quick to get a bargain because these deals end on December the 3rd.
So Animal Crossing's New Horizons was crowned the winner of the best Nintendo game this year at the Golden Joysticks, which is no surprise really considering what a phenomenal success it's been. But could anyone have predicted how popular this game was going to be?
I feel like there's a lot of people, I feel like that question should be obvious, but then there's a lot of people who would never even picked up a video game to begin with, who considered it because of Animal Crossing. It was just the timing was so, it couldn't have been more perfect. And it definitely wasn't planned. A global pandemic was not planned around this game that was basically made for that. The relaxation factor and the daily factor. I mean, people did binge it. I know we talked about that earlier and got burned out, but it's made to be played for like 30 minutes every day and put down and played for years. And I feel like it was definitely going to be the game of the year no matter what, but how popular? I don't know if we could have predicted that.
I think the amount of numbers it's done is beyond all of the fans picking up by a considerable measure. Like, I had a lot of friends that were teachers or other people that kind of were put out of work for a long time. So they were like, where do I get a Switch or a Switch Lite? I'm just going to get that and I'm going to get Animal Crossing. And that's what they played for quite a while. Like, I can think of off the top of my head, at least 5 friends who own a Switch and Animal Crossing, and that's pretty much it. And they got their Switches this year. So the effect is so obvious when you kind of look around. It was like the old DS days with Brain Age. People were literally picking up a system and this one piece of software, and that's how ubiquitous that kind of game became. And Animal Crossing, you're right, we'll never know what would have happened if this year had not been a hell year. But I think it was lightning in a bottle in terms of what that game delivered and the escape that people needed. And it's just, we never would have guessed, because we never could have guessed the pandemic. And I do honestly think if it wasn't for this, we probably shave off about 4 or 5 million sales, which would still be utterly phenomenal. It would still be the best-selling Animal Crossing game by a wide margin. It would probably still end up eventually overtaking Mario Kart. the kind of the horse out of the gate kind of thing that we've seen this year is as I said, just lightning in a bottle that I don't think anybody could have seen coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had so many friends text me or DM me on Twitter or something, just being like, "How do I get a Switch? I want to play Animal Crossing." Like, and it was people who have probably never played a video game in the past 20 years. And they're just like, I keep seeing screenshots of it. I keep seeing people talk about it. I keep seeing this and that. And then there was that whole problem where it was hard to get a Switch when Animal Crossing came out. And so all these people were like, what do I do? And I was like, all right, well, you're going to follow this guy, Wario64, and this person's going to tweet out a link when a Switch goes live, and you're going to have to hope that you can get one. And just the amount of people that, like, people I haven't talked to since high school or before, they're just like, video games. How do I get a Nintendo Switch? I want to play Animal Crossing. And I feel like I have not had that with a video game, maybe ever, where it was just this mass group of people all of a sudden wanting to play this thing, just to like have a normal slice of life. Because really all you're doing is, chopping down some trees, building an axe, going fishing.
Yeah. But that's like on paper, it sounds like that, right? And then
Right.
you get in and you realize it's all the charm of creating your own mini world, and it's so much stronger in this game than any other Animal Crossing game, although that's art. Some people argue about that, but I feel like the customization makes it more like almost like the Sims level of like, this is I can do anything with this space,
The sheer creativity is just insane. Because I always think, I've done really well with my island. I've made it really nice. I've been quite creative with it. Then you go online and just see like what other people have done.
Well, don't go online and look at people. No, there's always gonna be something crazy. Yeah, but I think it's insane. For even like, the layman, even the casual sort of people, I've talked a lot about the power of agency, the power of creativity, and Animal Crossing offers you both of those things in a really wholesome package. And as well as that, you can connect with your friends and you can show things off easily. It is perfectly designed to let people let off steam and play out this kind of fantasy of, owning things and like, I own a house in Animal Crossing. That's amazing, and I can decorate it. I can add a floor, whatever.
My wardrobe in Animal Crossing is so great.
Exactly, like it's a peace of mind that people can be afforded in a chaotic time, and it's immovable, and it's still a thing to be proud of, and still a thing you earn. I think the importance of that sort of thing is not said enough.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Having control over your like a section of your life is, I think, really appealing to people, isn't it? Where in a world of uncertainty, you can log on to Animal Crossing, and just you just run in the meadows, run free, catch some fish, sell some fruit. It's lovely.
Play at your pace. You have no choice but to play at your pace. It slows you down, and it's like, no, you're gonna wait a whole day just to get anything. But that's fine. And it's very different from the game that won the big tamale at the joysticks, which was Last of Us Part 2. A little bit of a kind of, people were kind of expecting maybe Animal Crossing and Hades. That's kind of what I was thinking. And Last of Us, maybe some people thought, I don't know. I heard a lot of people kind of writing it off. I kind of wrote it off a little bit in terms of just, I felt like Hades or Animal Crossing, very different from what we're discussing right now. The one that took the big cake.
Yeah.
But I feel like I understand why Animal Crossing took a backseat and just won Nintendo's Game of the Year and not the big one.
Last of Us kind of swept the board. So it won Best Storytelling, Best Visual Design, Best Audio. Yes. Naughty Dog won Studio of the Year. So it was the big winner at the Golden Joysticks. Jesse, have you played Last of Us Part 2?
I have. I played it all in one weekend. Just typical. Okay. Go through the whole thing, feel really bad at the end, just power on through.
Is that basically the exact opposite of Animal Crossing? You just feel like shit afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I imagine that's the way to do kind of that sort of intense narrative game, is to get involved in it, get sucked in, and do it in as many short blasts as you can. Like, has that had a lasting effect on your year the same way you think Animal Crossing has? Like, when you look back at it?
Not really. I think because The Last of Us is so much a game about, you experience that story and then you kind of just, that story sits with you but in the same way as like in the opposite way, Animal Crossing is constantly coming up because there's events and it's a live service game to an extent, right? So it's constantly in the news. It's constantly people are going back to Animal Crossing. We're like, I've gone back to Animal Crossing 2 or 3 times throughout the year, where it's like I have not gone back to The Last of Us Part 2, despite it being good, enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I had my time with it. I feel like I got my fill.
Right.
And it's also a much harder story to go back to.
Sure.
It is a very dark and in some ways depressing and very heavy. And I think in a year where the whole year is kind of heavy, I don't know if I really want to feel that way. So I had my time with it, and I'm happy with it, but it's definitely not something I think about all that often.
It certainly earned all the awards that it swept in terms of storytelling, audio, all that. I said I wrote it off earlier. I haven't played it myself, but the reason I wrote it off as an ultimate game of the year is exactly what you said, Jesse. It's like you play this amazing story. It sits with you. It lasts with you. It's one of those ones you talk about for years to come, for sure. But you don't pick it back up. You recommend it to people. You say, oh my God, you haven't played it yet, but you don't pick it back up. And that's why I was personally, if I were to pick a game of the year, it would have come down to the one that won indie game of the year, which would be Hades, which I think is sort of like a cop-out category for like, oh, you would have been best game if you were like a AAA, but you're an indie, so we're gonna I don't know, I feel like that's like one of those Oscar categories that's kind of like best indie film, and then you're like, oh well, I'm an indie film, so I can't win best picture or whatever.
Do you remember when they nearly added best popular film as a category?
That's what the one I was thinking of.
They could give Oscars to Marvel movies, and people were like,
yeah.
Well, no, it either deserves an Oscar or it doesn't. Like,
that's what I was thinking of.
Don't undermine them.
Right. And I feel like it does undermine Hades a little bit, because there's a lot of incredible indie games that came out this year, and Hades was one that contended for ultimate game of the year, because like Bastion, it's one of those games that you can pick up for, first of all, many times, but more so than Bastion, you can pick it up for very extended play sessions and get a lot out of it. I mean, the story is integrated with the gameplay, and it's one of those things where every time you play it, you're going to get a different experience. You can try playing in different ways. This is also one I haven't played myself, but I've watched people play it for hours, and I can't wait to play it myself. It is on sale, by the way, right now on the Switch eShop, I believe. I don't know if that's ended yet. I don't think it has, for $19.99, at least in the US eShop. Hades.
Yeah, Hades was about $5 off, I think.
$5 off.
And all the other Supergiant games were heavily discounted. So if you've never picked up Bastion or Transistor, which are both very good games and quite similar mechanically to Hades as well.
Fighting wise, yes.
Yeah.
Storytelling and game and the roguelike thing is completely different. And that's why it, like Animal Crossing, it's one of those ones that like a few months later, you might still be playing Hades between playing other games. You know, whether you're doing another playthrough or you're just continuing a playthrough that's really hard, that you just keep coming back to it. And Animal Crossing, same thing. You can't not play it, because like you said again, Jesse, it's like even if you put it down for a while, you'll come back because you'll be like, well, it's the Thanksgiving event. I might as well just download the update, give some turkey, some fish, and get some swag from the turkey.
Give a jack-o'-lantern some candy and get a magic wand.
Impersonate him and scare your neighbors. I mean, the events in this one, I want to say, by the way, the events have been really cool. The Thanksgiving one in particular, I think, was one of the best Animal Crossing events yet. And people have not been talking about it.
I loved all the furniture from
it was
great.
Excellent. It wasn't just the furniture, which was so cute. I love all of it, and you can use it all the time year round. I loved the way it was done, because it made you go around and just have like a day of exploring your island. But then if you didn't want to fuss too much about it, you could go to your villagers and get all the items you needed, except for the special items. They're listening. Like, I just love that they're listening. They listen. I love that they listen. It makes me so happy. Hi, Game Freak. I brought it up this week. See, I brought it up this week.
No. I think you're right. I think the Animal Crossing updates have been one of the reasons why I've been diving back in, and they've been adding little changes. They've been adding little touches. Like the most recent update added another 800 storage spaces as well, bringing us up to 2,400. They are constantly doing quality of life updates, and as a game, that is also mechanically fun to play. I think I'm not going to disparage The Last of Us 2 because I haven't played it. I've played the first one. And to me, Game of the Year has to be a game that mechanically was fun to play, but also affected you. Like for me, a game like that is God of War. God of War was a beautiful story that also could only have been done through a video game. And I think it's really interesting that we're going to be getting a HBO The Last of Us TV show, because to me, those games want to be a TV show first, and they are a game second, and the game play actually isn't that fun, which is a shame because I think the Uncharted games are really fun to play. Again, I haven't played 2, so I've only played the first one, so I won't talk too much about it.
I feel like that's a hot take. Like none of us are contending you right now, I guess, but
yeah. I think it has to be a game that I would happily dive in just to play the game bits again. And I would happily just play half an hour of God of War, just going around and killing the Valkyries again or something. Like I'd dive back in for those moments, but I don't see myself going into The Last of Us and being like, I think I'm just going to go kill some people and some dogs for a little bit, actually.
Yeah, well,
but it is meant to be effective.
World.
It's meant to be a game you have to sit through. And I don't know enough. But to me, Animal Crossing is a game that it hasn't affected me the same way the story has, but I've gone back because it's a fun game to dive into, and it is only improved. So to me, that is what a game of the year should be.
I definitely think there's a lot to be said about games. I think to evolve, they need to kind of stop aping movies that they're influenced by, because you play a level, then there's like a cutscene. It seems like they're really trying to ape that cinematic experience, and whereas Animal Crossing is a completely unique thing where you like as you say, you would never get that anywhere else. You wouldn't want to watch a film, a TV show of Animal Crossing. That's a purely gaming experience.
Yeah, got to be the longest film I ever watched.
Well, as a script writer by trade. I used to write for TV news, but that's what I like to do. And I feel like the story begs for a medium, right? And if you have, like you said, God of War was a really good example. It was really the best way to capture the scope, the stakes, the physical stakes and all that, is to put you in the shoes and have you killing these massive gargantuan bosses and stuff. There are a lot of games that just beg for the medium, stories that just beg for the medium of being a game. And there are a lot of stories, like you said, The Last of Us could have easily made an incredible blockbuster movie right out of the gate instead of a game, without sacrifice. You don't need, but then someone might argue, well, you need to be in their shoes to feel the fear and get attached to Ellie and in the first game and all this. Like, I don't know. But that's why some games suck, because it's like, this should have been a TV show. Or that's why some say books suck. And you'd be like, this should have been a movie.
Yeah.
Say that about a lot of things.
I guess, honestly, in my own words, the way I've described it, in terms of it being a melding of both the evolution of that story and it only being able to be told in a game, I've been quite heavily disappointed with a couple of things with Animal Crossing, and it has updated a few of them. But I guess by my own rules there, I'd happily say that Hades is my game of the year, because it does all of that. And that game is a cycle of death and rebirth, and the story evolves, and it can only be told specifically through a roguelike. And that is exactly what the game is set out to do, and it's done it perfectly.
It would be the most disjointed TV show in the world.
Yeah, and it would be the same every week until like with a little change, you know.
Tune in next week.
It'd be like a kids TV show or something.
Yeah.
It's weird because the way I've always described games to people, and like why I love them as a medium, is, you know, it's a blending of storytelling and player agency, and both of those things are important.
Right.
And so when you take a video game and you make it a TV show or a movie, you're removing the player agency from it. So it's just like, oh well, what if you just watched all the cutscenes and never played any of the bits in between? And so I think, you know, like Hades has mastered the idea of like player agency and storytelling. And I think Animal Crossing does that to an extent. You know, there's not a wild story in Animal Crossing, but I think when you look at these games, they're very good at blending the two. And so whenever people talk about like, oh, they should make this into a movie or this into a television show, I'm like, but they have to get that part right.
Right.
Like you have to be able to remove the fact that you're not controlling this character, but still make it interesting and you care about the thing you're watching.
Right. Like
and that's like a hard balance.
Yeah. We talked about, like I mentioned, Hades is a kid TV show, but still playing in best gaming community. We have Minecraft, which I'm sure all of us have played within the past year. No?
Love it.
I don't know.
Love it. Love Minecraft.
Everyone still plays Minecraft. Especially the past year. I'm sure a lot of people got back into it. And there's the player that game is player agency. You can do anything, right? And so imagine a kid's TV show about Minecraft. It would be incredibly, I mean, I'm sure kids would watch it, but it would be incredibly disappointing because the whole fun of it is you're building a fort and you're creating this to get to the underground and to get to the Ender Dragon. And there is like a story, in that sense. And it's, there's no feeling of gratification if you're just watching someone kill creepers. I don't know, like
are you telling me
or
you didn't
reading about it or seeing
Minecraft
a comic
story mode?
I was gonna bring that up. I'm so happy somebody brought that up.
Well,
You're telling me you don't want your Minecraft character voiced by Patton Oswalt?
That's all you need. Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Minecraft as well, because and again, I do think Animal Crossing is one of the best games of the year, and I think it is a good game. But when people say like, "What are your issues with it?" and I point things out, people often say like, "Well, it's better than any Animal Crossing game before," and that is technically true.
Yeah.
But the industry has changed in that time. Animal Crossing New Leaf was 2013, and Minecraft was already out, but it wasn't what it is now. And the whole industry has changed. We've got so many other creation games. The social aspects of Minecraft have changed the way we look at these games completely.
Right.
I've put hundreds of hours into Dragon Quest Builders 2. Like the things that you can do and what we expect have completely changed, and Animal Crossing hasn't caught up. And in fact, so much of your agency is taken away in Animal Crossing. And it gives you a couple more things in terms of like, the terraforming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But actually
it's hard to appreciate with so many quality of life issues. Like basic quality of
exactly.
life
It still holds a lot of things back that are arbitrary. It's not limitations. It's not the system. It is arbitrary. Oh, we've put this in because it's a character thing. People have to wait a little bit for this for it to be earned and stuff like that. And that can only get you so far before you've got a frustrating game.
Let me craft more than one thing at the same time.
Let me craft in my house with the things in my inventory. I'm sick of taking out 30 wood, 30 softwood, 30 hardwood, all of my... I had to do it today to do all the Turkey Day stuff. Like, I'm in my house.
I mean, you can change from anywhere using the wardrobes. Why can't I craft from using my clearly that we have the technology.
Exactly.
Let's do it.
And people have been saying these things since March 25th.
Yes.
We've had multiple videos.
There's always hope that they're working on it, because they've clearly added things and changed things, and they have changed some quality of life things. And if you've stuck with the game, you've definitely noticed them. But there are some things that will never change. Like, for example, we won't get the ability to like see which square we're about to interact with. Probably ever.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever.
For that.
I was just playing that last night on my stream. I love that. Click it immediately.
Do you
play Stardew Valley.
Do you know the one thing from Stardew Valley I'd bring into Animal Crossing is, instead of tapping A, holding A, and picking up everything that can be picked
trees.
up. Just let me pick everything up. I don't want to smash my A button.
And they know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know I wanted that until right now.
I'm really sorry that I've made you think about that.
Oh.
But we got the huge Welcome Amiibo update to Animal Crossing New Leaf 3 years after the fact. Was that 2015 or 16?
And the post support is constant. It has been constant.
And we have to remember that they had, before, when this game came out in March, before we knew what the year was going to be, they had this year of updates planned, and they have thrown in a couple of updates in direct reaction to fan demands.
Right.
But they are still living through a pandemic. Japan has been affected very differently from us because they've got different online infrastructure. They don't have the ability to get as much equipment home as us. because they've got much smaller homes. And this is like what we're hearing from Japan. This is not like hearsay. We are hearing this from Japanese developers. They're struggling to get equipment home. So Nintendo are still fighting an uphill battle. So I do have a lot of patience and respect for the fact that maybe they know and they do want to do these things. And I will still have that criticism because it's the thing that needs to be fixed. But I do fully appreciate that maybe they are sat there going, yeah, buddy, I wish we could do that as well.
Yes. So what do we want from 2021? What do we want from Animal Crossing: New Horizons? Because I think Nintendo have said that these kind of constant events, they're bringing people back. People are coming back to play again because they're drawing them in. But do you want anything different from the game? Do you want any huge updates? Because I kind of tailed off. After about 150 hours, I kind of tailed off. And the one thing that did bring me back was the dream update, being able to visit people's dream islands. And I put another 40 hours into it. But after that, tailed off again. So do you think there's another huge update coming, or do you think they're just going to kind of keep rolling out these frequent events?
I mean, we know a couple of things are coming. Like we know the Mario items are coming in March. That was announced in the Super Mario 35th Direct in September. We've heard, well, I won't go into data mine stuff, but we know some pretty obvious things are not present, like Blathers. Like we quite simply don't have Blathers or a cafe. And
not Blathers.
Rooster. Sorry,
Brewster.
I was like, what happened to Blathers?
No, sorry. Yeah, no.
They killed him off.
Oh no, I have to check.
Brewster is not in the game. He's
Brewster,
I put him on my phone, on my Nook phone.
I like how the characters we might see pop up like Lyle and stuff. So I'm sure, even though we're gonna see the yearly, like I'm in March, we're gonna have to sit through Bunny Day again, but we're also gonna get regular updates. Like we just got with the farming update. We just got pumpkins, which is a new thing for Animal Crossing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do actually see maybe kind of some more farming mechanics brought in. Maybe that's why Brewster's been held back. Maybe it's going to actually be a cafe and you can make dishes. Maybe you can serve people, because in New Leaf, you could get a job at Brewster's, like a barista place, and you can make coffees for villagers. So maybe you're going to be getting recipes and making meals for people. Like there's so many things we could see down the line that I'd be very happy to see.
You definitely, there's going to be like a year anniversary event in March, like March 20th, right?
Yeah,
like they'll definitely
100%.
do some sort of like, oh, it's your island's birthday, like, it's the 1 year anniversary since you first got here. Let's do something about that.
Yeah.
They always do that in Pocket Camp, so I'm sure it's going to be a huge thing in the actual
I feel
game.
like, as much as Pocket Camp does the whole mobile game song and dance that maybe a lot of people don't like, I feel like they learned a lot from it about what players like and don't like in terms of events. Because I'm finding now a lot more of these little things in my inventory that I can only use to craft event items and use for events, which is something that I first experienced in Pocket Camp, which I did enjoy for an extended period of time. I don't play it anymore, but Pocket Camp I very much loved. And I noticed some things that were introduced in Pocket Camp that I loved that continued into this game. Very minor things like little quality things like the photo, like the ability to take really good photos and stuff was elaborated upon in this game. So they're learning, they're listening, and I also hope that next year we'll get a lot more updates. I know we just said that, like you said, in addition to updates, but I mean like hardcore. I feel like people, there was someone on Twitter I was going back and forth with who quit, and they said their thing with Animal Crossing they didn't like was the tools breaking. They said it really annoyed them.
Yep, I agree. No reason for it. No reason for it.
There's no really need for them to break. Like it's there. It's not that I would argue it's not that annoying, but I would also agree that why is it there? It doesn't add to the game in any way. I like that you can buy different kinds of tools, like the pretty tools.
Customize them then.
Customize them and stuff. But there's no need for them to break, especially as often as they do, especially when you can have a cute one that you customized and then it still breaks. The golden ones still break, even though they're ridiculously hard to get the items to craft. They're never going to make them unbreakable. But if enough people complain, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they would say, look, the life of your stuff is doubled or tripled or something like that. And suddenly I feel like that would actually bring people back and say, oh my God, they changed that? Oh, let me check this game out again. I bet you there are a lot of people who specifically, more than the person I went back and forth with, who would consider picking the game up if they changed that significantly. I don't think they'll renege it though.
I thought functionally the point of them being breakable was to teach you about crafting, and then the eventual reward of the game, once you do, complete the game as much as you can, was that the gold stuff didn't break. So I was like, this is actually quite cool. It teaches you about crafting, and then they last longer and longer, and it's such a reward when you get there that the golden stuff, obviously the golden stuff won't break. That'd be mental. So that's the reward. Why does the gold stuff break? At that point, I was like, no, actually, why does anything break? This is silly. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I actually agree. If it was just the gold stuff unbreakable, then I'd be defending it tooth and nail. I'd be like, come on, we're earning it. We're earning it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a way to get you to engage with the crafting system up front. It teaches you about it, and then, like you said, your eventual reward should be you don't have to worry about crafting tools anymore. You got to craft everything else. Yeah. Your tools are your tools. Yeah. They stay on you. You don't have to worry about it. But no.
Yeah.
Also, in the form of updates, I don't remember the third penguin's name, but the penguins in Pocket Camp, I'm pretty sure they're penguins. The ones that like fix your RV, it's like Beppe, Pepe, and whatever. They need to come into, I don't care how, I want them on my island.
I love
them. Yeah.
I like that you can get the brake tapper and a couple things in the game. If you've played Pocket Camp, you can get like the OK Motors hat and the shirt in the game. Oh yeah, Pocket Camp's underrated. Yeah, they're wonderful little originals.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. My biggest dream wish is something we already had, and that is additional DLC villagers in the form of amiibo. So you could, when you had the welcome amiibo update added to New Leaf, what you could do is you could tap a certain amiibo and you would unlock a special villager. So you could do this with Monster Hunter amiibo to get the Calico. You could use the Zelda amiibo to get a pig who was Ganon. You could get a wolf that was Link, and you could get there was a couple of others as well. And it was just a neat little extra. There was just a couple new villagers, but it was so cool. And they came with kind of some new items as well. And they don't even need to license this out. Just do Star Fox. Mm-hmm. Like those are little anthropomorphic, cute figures. Like, just let me tap my Fox amiibo and have a Fox villager. Like, that is one of my biggest wishes.
I'm looking at all my amiibo now, and I'm like trying to pick which ones I would want. And like, I'm just looking at Solid Snake, and I think it'd be really funny to have a Solid Snake.
Little cardboard box.
He's like,
yeah, it's just a cardboard. He lives just in a cardboard box.
Yeah,
like that's.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's a snake with a cardboard hat.
Yeah.
Or like, let me plant piranha plants. I'm like just looking at my amiibo now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Woolly Yoshi.
Like
Yoshi's
I think that'd be just such an easy win. And even if you just did Star Fox and, make a couple of other ones up, like the pig one for Ganon, so you don't have to license like a load of Pokemon ones, but I would pay money for Pokemon villagers.
Do you guys see the faces I've been making for the past minute? Like, I don't even own amiibos. We talked about this last week. I don't even think I own an amiibo. Well, I don't own an amiibo, and I would buy one to get Animal Crossing. Stuff like that.
I'd be happy for these to be paid DLC. If it was a couple of quid for a villager that you really wanted, as opposed to maybe scanning it with an amiibo, I think that'd be fair. I think this game more than earns its value as a game. If they ever were to charge for DLC, if it was like half the price of a Smash character for like a villager or something like that, I think that would be reasonable. And maybe they came with a couple of exclusive items, like you get Squirtle as a villager, and then maybe you get like a little Pokeball seat or a little Pokeball chair and something like that.
Yeah, like when they're working in their house and you go up and you get an item from them, like once a day or whatever, like you would get an exclusive item from them, so it would keep you coming back to
I need
pick up
Squirtle.
From them.
Guys, I'm taking it off my foot, so I'm not taking my foot on camera. I'm wearing Squirtle socks right now.
Oh yeah.
You're ready.
I need him in my Animal Crossing town. Shut up. Take my money. It doesn't exist yet. Take my money. Manufacture it.
Yeah. So we're saying, like, obviously Animal Crossing is a great deal for that 40, 50 quids. You've got a lot of game in there. And talking about deals, it was Black Friday last week. There's a lot of Nintendo deals to be found online. Nintendo are even offering some discounts over on the eShop with their cyber deals. So you can get Link's Awakening. This is UK prices, but you can get Link's Awakening, Fire Emblem, and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for £33.29 each, which is a pretty good price for those games, right? I can see. I think I see Nathan's like, not really.
I can't do the conversion fast enough in my head. I don't know if that's a good price or not.
Look,
it's a little higher. It's only a little higher than it would have been here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got Tropical Freeze on the Switch, and it's one of the best platformers on the Switch. But that is a Wii U game that should have been brought over at a select price. But that is a different conversation for a different day.
Or it's a little lower. Sorry, we're higher.
Oh, okay.
Let me look up 33 into USD.
But it's still good to see Nintendo games actually being lowered, because obviously they're just renowned for these evergreen $50 RRPs in shops.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably still only get Mario Kart DS for 30 quid. Pokemon games in any shop, doesn't matter which one, are still 40 quid. Like these, Nintendo defends the value of their games to the death.
This is definitely
so it's nice to see them.
It's definitely the cheapest I've seen, though. Do you want me to run you through the list of what's been like slashed in price on the eShop?
This is Fire Emblem Three Houses, you said?
Yes, yeah.
That was £33.
29 Don't forget the 29 pence. That's very important.
So that's 44 US dollars.
So is that a good deal in the US?
I just picked up Fire Emblem Three Houses for 25 US dollars. So it's a lot cheaper.
What?
Yes, at GameStop.
Version.
Oh my God. Yeah. Conversion's killing us.
Yeah, so
yikes.
The pound is
nowadays. It's still
GameStop had some killer they had killer doorbusters. They had like this Yoshi's. They had a lot of really good $25, $26 doorbusters.
Yeah.
So,
God, I hope.
Let me run through the games that are kind of discounted. So we've got Link's Awakening, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, The Outer Worlds, Borderlands Game of the Year, BioShock, Witcher 3, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, Astral Chain, Dark Souls Remastered, and Diablo 3. Is any of those like jumping out at you that you like? If they're discounted, you have to get them, or like you say?
I'd just like to say, what a wild list of Nintendo games! Like for these games to be on a Nintendo system, like really stellar lineup there. Like like all those games are pretty solid.
We give them a lot of crap for like, come on, get to 2020 Nintendo. But at the end of the day, we got to give them at least they got with it on third party, and they got some of the great games that like everybody wants, like Dark Souls and Divinity and stuff onto this console that can handle it well.
I think that is my point, is whilst we're looking at 2020 and 2021 games and go, well, that's not going to run. The Nintendo Switch is the single best way to play any game of the previous generation. When you look at stuff like you said, Divinity, Diablo 3, like Skyrim, the Switch just knocks it out of the park with these ports of legacy games. And suddenly this becomes the best way to play these. And that's what's so good. Diablo 3 especially is one I've always wanted to play, and this is really tempting me.
Yeah, well, to answer your question though, you said what is it worth it, or are there any that you would recommend? Is that what you said, Alex?
What would you recommend from that kind of list? Is there anyone like? Because I guess everyone's pretty much played Link's Awakening, but
it's funny because I was gonna say Link's Awakening people have played, but if they haven't, I would tell them to wait for even more of a sale.
I would agree.
And I know Nathan agrees with me because, and I'm not disparaging it at all. I think it's the cutest. I think it's good. I remember I got the Steelbook even. I bought the UK Steelbook.
I wish I got that one.
I paid some money, but I was getting back from vacation in Europe, and I was like, I'm so close, but so far at the time. But anyway, I just think as much as I love it and everything, people who maybe have played the original or are just getting into Zelda might just want to play other games in the meantime. You play some Breath of the Wild, you'll be able to pick that up for $20 in a little while. Just give it some time.
Link's Awakening on the Switch is the prettiest 6 out of 10 game I've ever played.
So cute. It's so cute. But it's at the end of the day, it's an old Zelda game, and they're
They didn't change it. It was a good game. It's a good Game Boy game, and you don't get to bring that out in 2018.
Yeah.
And people be like, "Oh my god, it's incredible!" Like, no, it was a good Game Boy game years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's just all right, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like meanwhile,
it's
you have
beautiful.
Yeah, you have like A Link to the Past, for example, where they transformed it.
Oh,
They brought you the game, they made it beautiful, and they transformed it into an entirely new story.
Yeah.
I'm of course referring to A Link Between Worlds.
yes.
So, Link's Awakening is nowhere near the level of A Link Between Worlds. Of course, A Link Between Worlds is a completely different take on that story.
Put that on Switch, please.
Put
that on Switch.
Although it does play into the DS a little bit, I think the Switch could handle it.
Yeah, you could skip round it. It's one of the best games on 3DS, and it's top 5 Zelda games.
It's very underrated. Whereas Link's Awakening, I think, is a little overrated. I love it still, but it is a little overrated because it's so cute. It looks amazing.
I hope Grezzo are doing the Oracle games next, because they took so many lessons from Link's Awakening, and they are much better games mechanically and much bigger games. So I think if Grezzo apply that beautiful art style and their painstaking attention to detail to much better games, then we will really see them hit their stride.
Someone brought up Minish Cap. Minish Cap. I think someone on the podcast might have said that.
Minish Cap already looks really good. Once you start getting into that pixel art, like Metroid Fusion doesn't need Metroid Fusion doesn't need a remake the same way Super Metroid doesn't, because that pixel art is perfect.
It doesn't need a remake, but I don't think it would. I don't think it would not do it. I think it would do it justice.
Okay.
I think it would do it justice, although it doesn't need a remake because the pixel art looks good, but I feel like Link's Awakening in that not Link's Awakening, sorry, Minish Cap in that toy style, it just begs for it. It really does. It doesn't need it. It's fine the way it is, but if you're gonna do that to a bunch of those games, I think that would be great.
So seeing as we're talking about Zelda games, let's talk about Hyrule Warriors, because we spoke a lot about it. We spoke about it last week, but Koei Tecmo revealed in its first week, Age of Calamity sold an incredible 3 million copies worldwide, which is, I think, beyond expectations. And that means it's the biggest ever Warriors game. So none of the mainline games or spin-off games have ever come close to those kind of numbers. But it doesn't really feel like a surprise, because the hype for this game was like a fever pitch. It seemed like everyone was talking about it. And the first weekend when it came out, I kind of logged on to my Nintendo Switch, and it just, you can see everyone. What's everyone playing? Everyone was just playing Hyrule Warriors. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So I think making it a prequel to Breath of the Wild was a genius move, really, wasn't it? So
I mentioned I was just at a GameStop I bought this Fire Emblem today, and I was waiting in line, and the TV was talking about they were basically giving a synopsis review kind of thing of Calamity, and they said, oh, well, it's not a typical Zelda game because you can't have, run around the whole map. But if you're a fan of the Zelda series, you have to play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Oh, sorry, that's how GameStop videos sound. But, I was starting to sound like South Park there for a second.
Not too far off.
You had to play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. But it's true. It's what you said. That's why. And it doesn't take an expert to tell you that this was going to be the best-selling Warriors game, because there's a lot of Zelda fans out there, and people who may have perhaps begrudgingly bought this because they're like, well, I need to know what happens in the Calamity. I don't want to get spoiled. I have to buy it. There's a lot of people who just felt like they had to buy it for that exact reason.
Me. That's me. That's why I bought it.
Same. Yeah, I've never played Hyrule Warriors, Dynasty Warrior game before, but it was just that sold me. It's the prequel to Breath of the Wild. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm sold.
I'm a simp. I'll just buy everything Zelda.
Yeah. I am that, but I'm also really enjoying Age of Calamity, and I'm really happy that we're seeing Nintendo be a little bit looser with their IP, especially when it comes to something as rich as Zelda. And we've looked at, kind of how much they've room they've given Grezzo in terms of the remakes. They've also had Crypt of the Necrodancer, Cadence of Hyrule, and now we're seeing this. Like, they're clearly now willing to let people kind of fill in the blanks in a Zelda timeline that people do want to know about. Nintendo don't care about the Zelda timeline in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
They don't. They were begrudgingly made to stick one together out of pieces that were never made in a timeline. You know, they were told to make a puzzle out of completely different pieces, and they were like, I guess if we really think about it, or make some stuff up. So I feel bad for them in that sense. But they've got a load of fans that if someone was to say, like, you know, oh, we've got this game that's actually now a prequel to Wind Waker or something like that, then
Come up and take my rupees.
yeah, exactly. So it's nice for them to see like that they are happy to let other people fill in the blanks that Nintendo themselves couldn't care about, and fans are more than happy to pay the money to look at these things.
Yeah, definitely. Because so Zelda producer, hopefully I'm saying his name right, but Eiji Numa has said that there's currently no plans to make Hyrule Warriors an ongoing series, but with these kind of sales, it would be stupid not to like pursue this. I think inevitably there's going to be a sequel. So we asked our followers over on Twitter what time period, you know, we talk about the Zelda timeline. There's so many gaps in it. We asked people on Twitter what they want to see in a follow-up, in a sequel, and there was some interesting suggestions. So Switch Player's very own Jonathan Canero said that he wants a Breath of the Wild prequel set 10,000 years in the past, showing how the Sheikah fought the Calamity. We've got which is interesting. At Japok Choi wants the original Link from the short comic on Hyrule Historia. Which Anna might have.
Yeah. So this was a discovery for me. I was like, comic?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, here.
I can
just
see
happened.
my copy, but it's not to hand.
So yeah, no. Well, I brought it out at the beginning when we were talking about this because I didn't know there was a comic. But there it is. That's the color page. It's interesting.
There could be a game based on that, but at Coco Dwar said that he wasn't happy with Age of Calamity. He wants it to go back to the original Hyrule Warriors and back to the formula of just a big crossover adventure mode. All the characters just thrown in there,
Just
and everyone
fanfic.
Hashtag
Exactly.
unpopular
Having a great
opinion.
So what do we think? What is there like a certain period in the timeline that you'd want to play through?
So
It's a tough question.
I've mentioned before that the Breath of the Wild prequel idea fills in a blank that we have looked at, and we've seen glimpses of that previous time. So to me, I said it earlier to you guys, the two instances where I think we can really see that in Zelda games are Ocarina of Time, the fall of Hyrule between the time skip, because there's Ganon took over, but we don't know. Because Impa was around, so there must have been Sheikah. There must have been, people that fought Ganon at
But
that
then
time.
Link would be gone.
He would. So how would you tell that game? Or maybe a little robot jumps through a time portal and Link is suddenly in the time skip. Who knows? These games
I
play
like where
fast
your
and
head's
loose.
at.
These games play fast and loose.
It
Little robot
opens.
jumps
It's
through
a
a time
slippery
portal.
slope. The time
Yeah.
portal slope is the slippery one.
And the other one I can think of is the before the Great Flood in Wind Waker. So in Wind Waker, when you get to a certain point, you get to experience what it was like in before, when you could actually walk on the land. Sorry, spoilers for Wind Waker. But there is, you get to actually visit the Temple of Time. No, is it the Temple of Time or Hyrule Castle? Oh God, but
Castle.
it's the castle, isn't it? Yeah. Oh yeah, because you do see King, what's his face? Yeah.
Rowan or whatever.
God, I haven't played
Rowan.
Wind Waker in a couple of years, and it's all gone.
That's the game I want to play, though. The one you're describing right now, that's the Warriors game I want.
Like imagine the Wind Waker HD cell shaded style, but like the actual fall of that Hyrule before the Great Flood that Ganon causes.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I actually like that concept. I'm here for that.
I'm
here
just
for that.
spitballing right now, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what if you did a Warriors game set in with Majora's Mask, but you also made it a roguelike, so you had 72 hours to complete your tasks, and then you revert back and you keep going. And I don't know if there's anything here, but this is where my brain went. And so you've got some sort of like time mechanic with the warrior style of like,
So
I don't know, you get the different masks, you change the characters up. I don't know.
No, that's
Yeah,
that's
I like that.
a
That's good. Yeah,
really
yeah.
good idea. Like in Hades, you get different builds, and imagine
I
like
love that.
each run, you're like, well, I got this mask, I got this mask. Like that's a really good idea.
I
Yeah,
love
I'm
that
liking that.
so
Yeah, it's really good.
much.
I'll build it. Nintendo, come on.
Yeah,
Oh my
let's get on the
God.
phone
Hire
to
me.
Nintendo right now.
The idea makes me want to cry.
I think
Get 'em on the
Nintendo are
horn.
going to hear this and ring Supergiant straight away.
Yeah, like hey, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
The
you're talking
idea-
about them giving licenses to like other developers like Cadence of Hyrule and stuff. I'd love to see what Supergiant could do with Zelda. That would be
That would be
that would be
cool.
something.
And it suits that sort of playstyle. You look at something
Majora's
like
Mask in particular, I feel like suits the Supergiant play style and
Hmm.
the visual style.
But like the 2D roguelike of stuff like Dead Cells, I'd love to see a 2D Zelda game made into that sort of thing, like a roguelike. I think it's a series with so many power-ups. Imagine like, oh, this time I got
Yeah.
it was loads of like power-ups throughout the history. So like, oh, this time I got the double hook shot, or I got the Goron sword. Like, I think Nintendo could make a really, really good Zelda roguelike.
I wonder in the future as well if they'll kind of, they're developing their Breath of the Wild 2 at the moment. I wonder if they'll be like, well, let's intentionally just leave gaps in the timeline that we don't really talk about, so we could just do a spin-off game around that.
I'd be
just
cool
leave
with
some little
that.
Gaps. Yeah. So Breath of the Wild 2, if they're like, hey, I should do like a 5-year time jump, and then someone else, let's give it to another game studio to fill in that gap.
Yeah.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
I think that's a good balance of how they could do interesting things with the universe and explore different game genres alongside of that. I think that would be really smart of them.
No qualms.
Yeah, because that's the thing. If they did make a full-on Zelda game that was a prequel to Breath of the Wild, I don't know if I'd be that interested to play it, because it's a Hyrule Warriors game. It just fits that like genre perfectly. But also on Twitter, a guy called @DaveTheJedi, he kind of went left of field and said he doesn't want another Hyrule Warriors game. He wants a Nintendo Warriors game. So instead of Link, Zelda,
It'd be like
Mario.
Super Smash Bros, but Warriors.
Exactly. Yeah, he wants Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Kirby with levels inspired by their games. So that could be another avenue that maybe Nintendo explore.
People,
Nah.
That'd be weird, but I'd be into it.
I feel like people would buy. Like people have proven that they like the Warriors games now because they bought this game and they go, actually, I really like the fighting in it. It's fun, which tells them, we speak with our wallets and we tell them we like it by buying it, and we're buying it, as we talked about earlier. So it stands to reason they would make more Warriors games, but to make a Smashy type one, I don't think so. I think it really serves series as any, like they made a Fire Emblem Warriors. They made obviously Hyrule Warriors. I feel like there's a lot of different games, franchises in the Nintendo where you can make it work. But and then you can continue making different ones in those franchises if those fans of those franchises, like Zelda fans, prove they like Warriors games, as we've been talking about. We'll buy another Warriors Zelda game if you sell it to us. So I don't think that a Smash type one is in the cards, though. But who
completely
am I?
agree. I don't think Kirby or Donkey Kong would fit into that. Whereas what I can see happening, but they won't make because it won't sell enough, is Xenoblade Warriors.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, it would fit the world.
Yeah. So maybe are we saying Animal Crossing Warriors 2021?
Oh,
Big
yeah.
Switch Pro launch
It's
title.
it's a
maybe?
lock.
Yeah.
If that's
Lock it
what
in.
you got out of what I
100%,
said, then you were definitely
Yeah.
listening.
Tom Nook just wielding bells, just throwing bells at hordes of enemies. I can see that.
Oh my god!
I'm
mean-
into it.
Honestly, some of the playable characters from Hyrule Warriors, like Tom Nook, wouldn't be the weirdest thing you see.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Let's get on the phone to Nintendo. Let's just start this.
Just while we're on the topic of Warriors games, or like Muso in general, like we do have that Persona game coming out at some point next year.
Yeah,
that,
officially
Persona-
being localized now.
Yeah, so hopefully that also gets more people into the genre who are like Persona fans, and then that genre just continues to do cool stuff like that. That's the hope. But now I want the Animal Crossing one, so make it happen.
Take my
6
bells.
million sales right there.
Yeah. I think personally, Age of Calamity also has the bonus of being the best Warriors game. I don't think it's an accident that this is also like, you know, a true Zelda game now. I think they've been making these games for 20 years. I remember playing the Warriors games on the PS2. I remember playing Dynasty Warriors like 1 and 2 years ago. That's how old I am. But like, I think they've evolved it and they've seen the need to evolve. And I think Zelda has luckily forced their hand because people with maybe played Hyrule Warriors and I'm like, this doesn't feel like a Zelda game. I think so they've had to go to the drawing board and be like, okay, how do we make a Warriors game more involved? And we've talked about the difference between Hyrule Warriors and Age of Calamity, and that is the addition of kind of enemy weaknesses and kind of this puzzle element of the combat that has only improved the Warriors format. So I hope that whether it's a Zelda game or not, I think the Warriors games are forever changed now, and I think it's only going to do them good.
Absolutely. There's a new Dynasty Warriors game out next year, right? I think like an Empire's kind of one. I don't know if it's like a spin-off, but I wonder if they'll kind of incorporate any learnings from that, from Age of Calamity into that game. But let's move on to games out this week. So the big one is Ubisoft's Immortals Fenyx Rising, which was previously titled Gods and Monsters, which is a much better name, but let's not go into that. But this is kind of the third massively kind of open world action adventure game that Ubisoft's released in the last month, alongside Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion. So is anyone thinking about picking this up, or maybe next year?
I played the Stadia demo that they put out a while ago. There's like a free little thing. I signed up for a Stadia account begrudgingly, but I did it, and it was pretty good. You know, as far as like Ubisoft open world games go, it's like pretty standard. You know, you got a lot of icons on your map. You're going to go around, but the Breath of the Wild comparisons that this game got or has been getting is like pretty spot on, I would say. You know, like you can climb anything. There's a glider, like very much in that style. But I don't know if I'll pick it up right away, but I think that game will be better than people anticipated.
Yeah. It has a lot of character.
It's different enough. It's different enough from the other two Ubisoft releases this month that I think it won't like I feel like Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed are kind of butting heads a little bit. Whereas, and I think this game is just kind of off in its own realm, and it's going to do its own thing, and it's going to be fine. Even
if the audiences intersect a lot, you've got a lot of people who, well, first of all, maybe in the market for Assassin's Creed, but are fatigued with the amount of those games, and maybe feel like they can sleep on it a little bit. Watch Dogs is a more refined group of players, whereas I feel like this is a more accessible genre, accessible type of game for more players, younger players, perhaps. And so I think it won't really have a problem alongside those beasts of franchises, as big as they are. There's a lot of hype surrounding it. I've known about this game for a long time because a lot of YouTubers have been having their hands on it, playing the beta, giving their feedback. Yeah, despite the unfortunate title change.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm interested because it looks like Breath of the Wild meets Assassin's Creed Odyssey meets Kid Icarus Uprising.
Yeah.
And that sounds amazing, but I'm going to hold out on a couple of reviews, see how the Switch version is. Like, I've got a PS4, so I would love to play this game on Switch. It looks like a Switch game to me, but if I see reviews saying like it's struggling, I might eventually get this on PS4.
Right.
But I'm definitely interested, and we've also just seen them announce the DLC, which is based on Chinese mythology as well. So this isn't just Greek.
Because I was gonna say Greek mythology. I mean, clearly we all love it. We all love Hades. We're into this game. We got all these games about Greek mythology, but Chinese mythology and other, Norse mythology. I know some games have gotten into it. There's other playbooks. Come on.
I thought they would probably do something like that in an Assassin's Creed sort of way of like game by game. So it's interesting to me that they're just going like, now the DLC, let's do Chinese gods and monsters. So I'm interested to see what the future for that series looks like.
Yeah, that's very intriguing.
It's very interesting.
I hope it doesn't come with performance issues. That would suck.
There have been videos kind of comparing, kind of unfairly comparing the PlayStation 5 version. Fenyx Rising to the Switch version, but it looks like it still holds up. I think it's just the draw distance, that kind of stuff is obviously way much better on the PlayStation 5.
I was so annoyed. I saw that tweet where someone was like, Immortals on PS5 versus Switch, and I was like, well, duh.
It's a 2017 console, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought the Switch version just looked really good, but the intention of that tweet was obviously like, oh my god, look at the difference. And it's like, the Switch is a 2017 handheld. Like it always has been. It's always been it's always been a handheld that you can plug in at home, and that's why it's sold near 70 million units. Like it's incredible what the Switch is.
I mean, they made just a handheld version of it, right? Like the Switch Lite, like that thing is handheld first. Always has been.
True.
It's not a PS5. And then I saw those screenshots and I was like, damn, Immortals is looking good on Switch. Like, what are you on about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I guess so if you're an Xbox Series X owner or a PlayStation 5 owner, you've got you can play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you can play Watch Dogs Legions, but they're not going to be on the Nintendo Switch. So, Fenyx Rising is your one big Ubisoft massive open world game that you can play on the Switch. So I do wonder if people are going to pick that up. If everyone has enjoyed Breath of the Wild, they want more of that gameplay. They might pick up this Christmas. I think it's been very popular.
Yeah,
I think enough people are interested that it'll be on the charts.
Yeah, and it's an art style that lends itself to scaling well in that engine. You've only got to look at Starlink, which people have their gripes with, but I thought was brilliant. And I also think the Switch version was the best version by far, not just because of the StarFX content, but because that game was really suited to being a handheld in terms of picking up a few missions and going between. I think people that struggle with it played it as a home console game where you play in big sessions, and that's when the game got boring. But Starlink beautifully scaled from a handheld screen to the TV, and then it looked incredible on PS4. So I've got confidence, and that was Ubisoft. I am right in that, aren't I?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, am I making a really bad comparison here? No, that was Ubisoft. So I'm confident that a game with this sort of art style, which is clearly made to be scalable, is going to look really good on the Switch. I trust that this port will be good, but I'm not in a rush. I'm still going to wait and see a couple of reviews and people I trust's opinions.
So other games out this week are like Empire of Sin, the crime sim which was kind of
that game looks really cool.
Yeah, it does look really good. Like a crime.
It looks awesome. I've heard good things about it. I want to try it.
It was delayed quite a lot, wasn't it? I think it was originally meant to be out in January this year, but it's just kind of been pushed back. And then the John Wick's Hex, which was out.
Also, one movie games don't tend to be good.
Yeah, but
that one's like probably going to be good. Yeah.
So, I'm intrigued by that.
So, because I thought, after Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, that was it for Nintendo games. There was going to be like a deadline. No other games were going to come out, but it still shows there's still some quality titles coming out.
Fitness Boxing 2 comes out December 4th. I'm reviewing it for a Nintendo ad. I'm getting some great abs and arms. It's awesome.
Boxing 2.
Yeah.
Rhythm and exercise. Sorry, they say that at the beginning when you turn on the game.
Don't forget Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I tell you what I wanted to briefly mention earlier, and it's something that made me think about it with Animal Crossing, is I really would have liked to have seen what this year would have looked like if Ring Fit Adventure had plenty of stock. Because I think
we all would have been ripped.
I think that game could have maybe not done the same numbers as Animal Crossing, but I think that game would have sold as many units as they made. Yeah.
I would buy one.
Yeah. But is there anything else out this year? Like, there's been a couple of things that have been deconfirmed from the end of this year, like even recently. Like, we now know Hollow Knight isn't coming out.
A lot of things are very weird. And the dates say 2020, and you're like, but when?
The Cuphead DLC just got moved back.
That got delayed, yeah.
Delicious Last Course. Like, obviously, things moving out of 2020 is not a surprise.
Yeah, but there is like plenty of games still. Like, if people they're maybe looking at their Christmas list, what do I add to my Christmas list? What do I want to play this year? There's still so many Nintendo Switch games that have maybe been overlooked this year. You've got
Pikmin.
Yeah, exactly.
100% Pikmin.
I forgot about
Paper Mario isn't perfect, but if you have kids, they'll probably like it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's a
what
lot
would
of
you
great
recommend? What
pickups.
good games that maybe people have overlooked? Because I'm sure people will buy Age of Calamity, they will buy Animal Crossing at Christmas, but there
Yeah,
are still so many other titles that people maybe
I think
Oh,
my
I
number
know.
one would be Pikmin for sure.
Pikmin 3.
Super Mario 3D All Stars.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Famously overlooked Mario.
Famously overlooked. Yeah. What's Mario? What is this?
Who's Mario?
Yeah.
It's a good gift. People give it crap, but at the end of the day, even though it's ports, it's 3 games, and they're all great games for a reason.
Hey,
And if there's someone you love who likes Mario and would like it, just get it for them. It's a good gift.
hey, have you read my Ninty Fresh review? Those are great games, but that collection is anyway. That's not the point. So I'm not going to get into that. I can't be bothered. I've talked about this too much.
We've thrown too much shade today.
Yeah. But I tell you what, playing Sunshine with GameCube controller support and inverted controls recently has really cheered me up and has proven again that Nintendo are listening somewhere down the line. So I'm almost confident that we're going to get Super Mario Galaxy 2 at some point.
I hope so.
Hopefully they throw in left-handed support for the Joy-Con controls or something like that, because there's IR in both of them. Something like that would be really good, but we'll see. But one game I think is slightly overlooked and would be a very good gift in either digital or physical format would be Yes, Your Grace, which the lovely, lovely people at Super Rare gifted us a copy. I did a little unboxing, which is on our YouTube channel, which you may be watching right now. I personally reviewed Yes, Your Grace originally as well. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I said it was a very interesting, in-depth RPG where you not only manage your kingdom, but your family, and every action has a consequence on both. And it was a really cool little game from the UK developers No More Robots, who have also published Descenders, which is this week as well, isn't it? And a couple of others. So thank you very much to them and Super Rare, the lovely guys, for sending us a physical copy, which is beautiful. But also, that game's really, really good. Really.
And as of recording this, there's 19% left in stock. So if you're watching this soon after recording, there's a good chance if you go to Super Rare Games and you're interested in this, what Nathan just held up, these are in particular, if you've never heard of Super Rare, welcome to the party. They're one of the companies that will take indie games and they'll turn them into physical copies. They're limited. They'll only make a few thousand, and they do ship worldwide. I live in the United States, but they ship from the UK, I believe. And they still come to me, and they're only like $35 or something like that. $36 for the game and some limited cards. That, to me, makes an amazing gift if you look through the options and you see a game someone would like, because A, they're games people often overlook, but they're really good if they get the super rare treatment. B, it's limited, so you're not going to find it at like GameStop. There's only a few thousand people in the world who will own this physical game, copy of the game. So you can get it for them digitally, but it's not as special if someone likes it on their shelf like I do.
Yeah. Like if
I have a Little Inferno as a super rare. I love Little
wonderful.
Inferno. It's sold out now, but sorry, you can't get it.
Yeah,
it's limited.
If you are a Patreon and you get the physical copy of Switch Player magazine, you would have realized in the last few months that you were getting a Super Rare Games card with every single issue. So you've already started collecting Super Rare games. So why not carry on? And
they're not paying us to say this, by the way.
No, they're not.
We just like Super Rare.
We really love Super Rare.
Speak for yourself, Anna. I'm getting £1,000 a month.
What? You're getting paid? It's like that meme from We're the Millers. You guys are getting paid?
Yeah. You get really cool character cards for this one as well. Yeah.
Is that all the King's Daughters you get?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
So, limited run. If you're listening and you want some promo, you need to pay us. Get that ball rolling.
Limited run also does these.
Jesse, what kind of games would you recommend for Nintendo Switch owners for this year that maybe
besides maybe Mario's a little bit high on people's list?
I know. I did really enjoy that Paper Mario game that came out this year.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not perfect, but I feel like Paper Mario has had like kind of a tumultuous sort of last couple of iterations. And I
Right.
think this one goes back to the basics in a nice way, but adds its own little twist. I think it's charming. I think it's a very good kids game. I think it's a good game to play with your kids because there's enough adult humor that's subtle enough that like it'll go over children's heads, but like
Yeah.
there's something there for the adults who are watching it as well. And I'm trying to think of what I like actually played on my Switch this year. And
yeah.
it was like Hades, Paper Mario, Animal Crossing. At the beginning of the year is such a blur to me. I don't even
Right.
remember
I,
like what happened.
Pre-pandemic, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
happy
like
times.
ooh.
I think people shouldn't underestimate the value also of eShop cards.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little, people think it's impersonal. At the end of the day, there's so many great sales all year round that to have like an extra like $25 on your eShop that like
Yeah.
if something goes on sale for like $4 and you can just be like, oh, let me buy without thinking twice because you know, Uncle Alex or Uncle Nathan gave you you know, a $25 eShop gift card. That's if you can't think of what game to get someone, it's actually a really good idea. Or they could buy like I'm pretty sure you can buy V-Bucks for Fortnite with that, can't you?
Yeah. You can, yeah.
So like if they play free game, like they can buy stuff with that in-game content. So why not?
Yeah. That's what my nephew Nathan wants, just V-Bucks. That's
Yeah.
No.
Get the kids V-Bucks. That's all they want.
My niece plays Fortnite all the time, so genuinely that would be a really good thing.
Get her some goddamn V-Bucks.
I will say, not enough people. It's obviously not a game of the year, but people seem to have forgotten that 51 Worldwide Games is a very good game.
Oh,
very good family game.
Good family game.
Yeah. And
I'm
also,
so upset I forgot about it.
we're talking about sales this weekend. I'm not sure about the US, but in the UK, Super Bomberman R is down to £7 on the UK eShop. So if you've ever played Bomberman, or if you want just a nice local multiplayer game, it's not the best Bomberman game, but right now for £7, that's a bargain.
Absolute bargain, yeah. And I also played a Short Hike. I absolutely love that game. So, so short, so beautiful, and just
it's a shame that you can't gift people digital games.
Yeah,
what
like,
happened to that?
It would be a great feature to be able to just be like, here's your game. Instead, now I have to be like, I have a friend who's not very techie, and I know she hasn't done it yet. I specifically I know she'll like the game Cattails. And so I was like, here's a $20 in eShop. There's 5 extra for whatever, but I want you to get this game Cattails with it if you think you'll like it, because I think you'll love it. And if you've never played it, it's like Stardew Valley with territory wars, but everyone is a cat anyway. And yes, you can. Yeah, and yes, you can marry someone, and yes, you can have kittens. It's amazing. Anyway, great indie game, but it's been out for a while. It's a shame I couldn't just be like, here's Cattails, like on Steam. Why not? Why not? ¿Por qué no? I don't know. Makes me mad. It would be great for gifting.
Yeah. I thought of another Switch game that came out. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2.
Yes, such a good game.
It's very good.
Haven't heard of it.
It's out on everything, but the Switch version is very good.
Yeah.
What is it? Like, what kind of game? What kind of genre?
Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is it's basically old school Castlevania. It's they made Bloodstained Ritual of the Night and Curse of the Moon 1. It was that Kickstarter with Igarashi to basically remake Castlevania but not call it Castlevania. And so they like surprise dropped a sequel to the pixel art, like the 16-bit one that they put out last year or 2 years ago. And they were just kind of like, oh, it's out next week. And then it came out and it was really good.
Yeah, so the original Curse of the Moon, which was the 16-bit one, was one of the Kickstarter rewards.
Yes.
So the fact that they released a sequel to it, and they're made by Inti Creates, which are a really good studio, was just wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It was like that game deserved a sequel, but like it was never even expected or in the cards. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, by the way, in the background, we've been working on a sequel. Here you go.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Always a fun surprise.
I would say those games are maybe better than Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which I really enjoyed, but I think those games are probably a bit better.
They're definitely closer to Castlevania than Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was. The game definitely has its ideas and runs with it, but Curse of the Moon is as good. I think old school Castlevania as you're gonna get modern day.
Yeah. God, just put Dawn of Sorrow on my Switch, please. Just give me. We've already had the original Castlevania collection. I love Super Castlevania. If you give me even a GBA collection, Circle of the Moon, Aria of Sorrow, those games are top tier. But if you gave me Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia, oh my life, I'd pay so much money. Those are incredible video games. Sorry. I love Castlevania. Sorry, I got excited.
We could talk Castlevania all day.
Oh,
There's
That's the
some
after
really
the
good
pod,
stuff
you know.
there.
Cool. Well, I'm going to call it there. I'm going to say we've reached the end of another week in Nintendo Land. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope I didn't derail it too much.
No, time
It's been so
flies
good.
when you're having awesome conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
This is great.
So Jesse, where can people kind of find you online if they want to follow you and know more about Prima Games?
Sure. You can follow at Prima Games on Twitter or Facebook, or go to the website, primagames.com, where you will find my writing. You can find me on Twitter at Jesse Vitelli. Like I said in the beginning, I don't really have a creative Twitter name. It's just my name. Try to make it simple for people to find me. No promises on what you get on Twitter. It's vastly different from informative to really weird to whatever. So just, be aware. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Sometimes I stream on Twitch, but it's
I was about to say, don't you stream?
twitch.tv/Jesterfer. But that's more just like sometimes I'm bored and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stream. Yeah, come hang.
Okay.
In a pandemic world, sometimes it's just nice to share video games with people.
Yes.
Exactly,
And that's me.
Amazing. What's the next game you're gonna stream? Maybe more Hyrule Warriors. Or...
I'm thinking some more Demon Souls. I'm on the fence about it. I've been having a very rough relationship with that game.
It can be hard to stream those games.
Yeah.
Because people come up in your chat and they want you to play a certain way.
I'm also deep into Yakuza, so we'll see.
Nice.
Oh, I've been streaming Yakuza 0. It's so fun.
Good.
So fun.
Oh.
I wish they had that on the Switch.
Yeah.
maybe one year. Maybe.
I would buy it on. I'd buy a digital copy just to play it on the train. I want to play some karaoke on the train.
Oh yes. yes.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for watching, for listening. Let us know what you thought of this episode over on Twitter at SwitchPlayerMag, and we'll see you next time to discuss some more Nintendo news. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.